how social media can actually change your life. Look, let's get one thing straight. Social media isn't the problem. You are. The platforms didn't ruin your focus. They didn't kill your ambition. They just exposed it. Every time you scroll, every time you compare, every time you think, man, I wish I had that life. I wish I had, you're proving the point. You're using the most powerful tool in human history for consumption instead of creation. Social media can literally change your life, but only if you stop treating it like a distraction and start treating it like leverage. Let me break this down. You have a device in your hand that can reach millions of people for free. FRE, that's insane. 20 years ago, you'd need to beg a radio station, buy an ad, or pray a journalist cared about your story. Now, you can post, you can build, you can share. You don't need permission anymore. You just need patience and execution. The problem is most people want the followers before they've earned the trust. They want the views before they've given any value. They care about the numbers instead of the impact. Listen, if you start using social media to give instead of to get, everything changes. Start talking about what you love. Teach something you know. Document your process instead of pretending to be perfect. Don't overthink it. You don't need fancy gear or viral ideas. You need consistency. Post. Listen. Adjust. Repeat. Social media is one of the most powerful tools humanity has ever created. Yet most people underestimate it or misuse it completely. They scroll through it, complain about it, and then blame it for their lack of focus or success. The truth is, social media isn't ruining anyone's life. It's exposing who we really are. It's a mirror. If you use it for comparison, you'll always feel behind. If you use it for connection, creation, and growth, it will change everything. The real shift happens the moment you stop seeing social media as a toy and start seeing it as leverage. Think about how business worked 30 years ago. If you wanted to promote something, you needed money, access, or connections. You had to buy a newspaper ad, pay for radio time, or get lucky enough for a TV feature. Today, you can post a video, write a thread, or share your story and potentially reach millions of people without spending a single dollar. That's not just innovation, that's a revolution. The playing field has never been this level before. The gatekeepers are gone. You don't need permission from anyone to start building your brand, your business, or your message. The only permission you need is your own. The problem is that most people still operate like it's 1999. They consume endlessly, complain about algorithms, and expect instant results. They think of social media as a distraction or an escape, when in reality, it's a career, a platform, a launch pad. The mindset needs to shift from, I'm wasting time here, to I'm building something here. Because if you use social media intentionally, it becomes a multiplier. It amplifies your voice, your ideas, your skills. It connects you with people you'd never meet otherwise. Mentors, clients, collaborators, even lifelong friends. But to get there, you have to understand what leverage really means. Leverage is doing something once that keeps working for you forever. When you post a piece of content, it doesn't disappear. It lives online. It keeps reaching new people while you're sleeping eating, or working on something else. A single video or post can bring you opportunities for years if it hits the right person at the right time. That's leverage. It's effort that compounds. The problem is most people don't give it time to compound. They quit before the results show up. Leverage also means you don't need anyone's approval anymore. You can build your own platform. You can share your opinions, your art, your craft, your passion, and find your tribe, find your tribe. 10 years ago, if you were passionate about something niche, you might have felt isolated. Now, no matter what you love, vintage sneakers, street photography, entrepreneurship, poetry, tech reviews, there's an audience out there waiting for it. You just have to show up and start sharing. Social media also gives you leverage over your own growth. When you create consistently, you build communication skills, and 20, creativity and confidence. You start learning what resonates, what doesn't, how to tell stories, how to hold attention. You develop intuition for what people care about. These are real world skills that translate into business, leadership, and personal relationships. Every post is a rep. Every comment is feedback. Every failure is data. So when people say social media is a waste of time and 20, what they're really saying is that they haven't learned how to use it as leverage. The truth is the same platforms that distract some people are changing the lives of others. The difference is intent. If you use social media to compare, you'll feel envy. If you use it to learn, you'll feel inspired. If you use it to create, you'll feel empowered. The tool hasn't changed, only the mindset behind it has. Social media can amplify laziness or amplify ambition. It can waste your time or multiply it. And it's not the algorithm's fault. It's not the platform's fault. It's your decision how to use it. You can scroll endlessly, or you can start building something that lasts. That's the power of leverage. And it's available to everyone who's willing to stop consuming and start creating. One of the biggest traps people fall into on social media is chasing numbers instead of focusing on value. Everyone wants the followers, the likes, the views, the viral post, but few want to put in the work to actually earn attention through substance. The truth is, the people who win long-term on social media are the ones who give first. They share insights, teach what they know, tell their stories, and genuinely care about helping others. When your goal shifts from getting attention to providing value, everything changes. Your audience feels it. The algorithm notices it. The opportunities start coming naturally. It's easy to get addicted to validation. And 20, you post something, and if it doesn't perform well, you think it's not worth continuing. That's because you're playing a short-term game, chasing dopamine instead of building trust. The creators who thrive don't focus on how many people are watching. They focus on whether they're helping even one person. When you give value consistently, even if it's to a small group, you build credibility. People start trusting you. They see your authenticity, and trust is the foundation of influence. Followers without trust are meaningless. Trust without followers is powerful because it grows on its own. Providing value also means understanding what your audience actually needs. Too many people post what they want to say instead of what others need to hear. The magic happens when you bridge edge that gap, when you connect your personal experience to someone else's problem or curiosity. And what I thought at 20, you don't have to be an expert in everything. You just have to be honest about what you've learned and willing to share it. And 20, maybe you're a beginner documenting your journey. Maybe you're a student sharing lessons from failure. Maybe you're a small business owner teaching something you wish you'd known earlier. That's value. It's not about being perfect. It's about being real. Social media rewards people who give without expectation. When you lead with generosity, by giving information, motivation, entertainment, or inspiration, you create emotional debt in your audience. People remember who helped them, who taught them something, who made them feel seen. Over time, that turns into loyalty. That's how real communities form. That's how brands are built. It's not the loudest voice that wins, it's the most authentic one. The internet is full of noise, but genuine value always cuts through. The irony is that when you stop obsessing over followers and start focusing on helping people, the followers eventually come. It's the long game. People can smell desperation from miles away, and nothing kills engagement faster than content made just to go viral. When your intent is self-serving, your content feels hollow. When your intent is to serve others, it becomes magnetic. People don't share your post because it's trendy. They share it because it made them feel something or taught them something worth passing on. That's how organic growth really happens. It's built on human connection, not algorithmic luck. The numbers you see, likes, comments, views, are just metrics. They're not the full story. What really matters is AV impact. How many people took action because of what you shared? How many minds did you shift? 20, and how many people now see something differently because of your message? That's the real scorecard. You can have 1 million followers and 0 influence if none of them trust or care about what you say. On the other hand, you can have 100 followers who believe in you so deeply that they'll support every move you make. That's the difference between vanity and value. So every time you open a social media app, ask yourself one question. Am I trying to get something, or am I trying to give something? The people who play the giving game always win in the end. They build communities instead of audiences. They earn loyalty instead of attention. And in the process, they discover that success on social media and in life isn't about chasing numbers. And 20, it's about showing up with something that matters over and then over again until people can't help but notice. Consistency and patience are the 2 traits that separate those who talk about success from those who actually achieve it. On social media, most people want the reward before the work. They post a few times, don't get the reaction they expected, and quit. They assume the algorithm is against them or that they're not cut out for it. But the truth is they just haven't given it enough time. Building anything meaningful, an audience, a brand, a reputation, takes consistency, and consistency takes patience. It's not about how much you post in 1 week. It's about how long you're willing to keep showing up when nobody's clapping. Every person who has ever built something significant online started with 0 followers, 0 likes, 0 attention. The difference is that they didn't let that discourage them. They treated every post as a brick and kept stacking. Day after day, week after week, they refined their voice, learned their audience, and improved their craft. Over time, those small efforts compound into something massive. But most people never get to see that stage because they give up right before the momentum starts building. Consistency is boring, and that's exactly why it works, because very few people are willing to do it. Patience is the mindset that fuels consistency. Without patience, you'll always chase quick wins and trends, constantly switching directions instead of mastering one lane. The problem with impatience is that it kills progress. You can't plant a seed and expect a tree the next day. The same goes for content creation. The post you made last night might not blow up today, but it could find its audience next month or even next year. The digital world has a long memory. Content lives longer than you think. What you're doing today might not pay off immediately, but it's building equity for the future. Consistency also teaches resilience. Every time you post and get little to no response, you're training your mindset. You're learning how to detach from validation and focus on execution. That's a superpower, because once you stop caring about likes and start caring about your growth, you become unstoppable, and you stop creating for approval and start creating out of purpose. You begin to realize that every piece of content, no matter how small, is another chance to learn something new about your craft, your audience, and yourself. Another thing people misunderstand about consistency is that it doesn't mean doing the same thing over and over without adapting. True consistency is showing up regularly while evolving. It's about staying in the game long enough to learn what works. You can't know your best content strategy in month one. You discover it by experimenting, failing, analyzing, and improving repeatedly. Each post is feedback. Each comment is data. Consistency gives you the information you need to get better, while impatience robs you of that learning curve. Patience is also about playing the long game. The world glamorizes overnight success, but most overnight success stories took years of unseen effort. You don't see the thousands of posts, the rejections, the sleepless nights, the doubts. They're invisible. What you do see is the highlight reel. That's why it's easy to compare yourself to others and feel behind. But comparison is poison to patience. Your timeline is your own. If you can tune out the noise and focus on your process, you'll eventually win. There's a reason consistency beats talent. Talent might get attention for a moment, but consistency keeps it. The person who posts every day for 5 years will always outlast the one who posts brilliantly for 5 months. The algorithm rewards consistency because people do. Audiences trust creators who show up regularly. They know you're dependable, and that builds connection. In a world full of distractions, reliability is rare, and rare things are valuable. So if you want to see results on social media, stop chasing speed. Start building discipline. Keep showing up even when no one's watching. Be patient with the process and impatient with your excuses. Success will come, but only to those who earn it through relentless consistency and unshakable patience. Intent and self-awareness are at the heart of how social media can truly transform your life. The way you use it reflects who you are and what you value. Every post, comment, and connection you make online is an extension of your mindset. If your intent is to show off, you'll chase validation. If your intent is to learn, you'll attract growth. If your intent is to give, you'll build community. Social media doesn't change people, it reveals them. It amplifies your character, your insecurities, your dreams, and your habits. The moment you become aware of that, you gain control over how you use it instead of letting it use you. Most people drift through social media unconsciously. They open apps out of habit, scroll for hours and 20, and then wonder why they feel drained or unfulfilled. That happens because there's no intent behind their actions. They're reacting, not creating. Intent is what separates those who get lost online from those who build something meaningful. Before you post, before you scroll, before you engage, ask yourself, why? Why am I sharing this? Why am I following this person? Why am I spending my time here? When your actions are guided by intention, every interaction starts to serve a purpose. Self-awareness is the second part of the equation. It's about understanding who you are, what you stand for, and how you want to show up in the digital world. Too many people imitate others because they think it's the only way to succeed. They copy trends, mimic styles, and lose their voice in the process. But authenticity is the ultimate algorithm. People can sense when you're being real versus when you're performing. When you know yourself deeply, you stop chasing other people's definitions of success. You start creating from a place of truth, and that truth attracts the right audience, the ones who resonate with you, not with a version you're pretending to be. Intent and self-awareness also protect your mental health online. When you know your values and boundaries, you're less affected by negativity or comparison. You stop measuring your worth in likes or followers because you understand that your identity isn't tied to metrics. You realize that someone else's highlight reel doesn't invalidate your progress. That's when social media becomes empowering instead of toxic. You're no longer seeking approval, you're seeking impact. You stop posting to impress and start posting to express. The best creators, entrepreneurs, and communicators all share one thing in common: clarity of intent. They know exactly what they're trying to do, whether it's to educate, entertain, inspire, or connect. That clarity keeps them consistent even when results are slow. It helps them stay grounded when success arrives. Without clear intent, even the biggest following can feel empty. That's why so many people with large platforms still feel lost. They built audiences around trends, not truth. Self-awareness also helps you recognize your strengths and weaknesses. Maybe you're great at storytelling, but not at video editing. Maybe you're good on camera, but struggle with writing. When you know what you're good at, you can lean into it. When you know what you're not, you can improve or collaborate. Social media rewards authenticity, but authenticity requires knowing yourself first. You can't be real if you don't know who you are. Intent also affects how you engage with others. If your goal is to genuinely connect, you'll listen more, respond thoughtfully, and support others instead of competing with them. Collaboration replaces comparison. Gratitude replaces envy. That energy is magnetic. It draws in the right people and opportunities naturally. When you approach social media with clear intent and deep self-awareness, it stops being a place of distraction and becomes a tool for discovery. You discover new ideas, new communities, and most importantly, new parts of yourself. The better you understand who you are and why you're doing what you're doing, the more powerfully social media works for you. It becomes less about showing off and more about showing up as your truest self every single day. At the end of the day, social media is just a tool. It's neither good nor bad. It's neutral. What makes the difference is how you choose to use it. You can waste hours scrolling, comparing, and complaining, or you can use the exact same platforms to learn, grow, and build something extraordinary. The opportunities sitting inside your phone right now are bigger than anything humanity has ever had access to. You don't need money, you don't need permission, and you definitely don't need to wait for the perfect time. The perfect time is now. If you start showing up with intent, consistency, and patience, if you lead with value instead of ego, your life will begin to shift in ways you can't imagine. And 20, you'll connect with people who believe in you. You'll develop skills you never thought you had, and you'll start to see yourself as capable of more. The internet rewards authenticity, and authenticity is something no algorithm can fake. When you show up as yourself, when you create instead of consume, when you focus on giving rather than getting, that's when social media stops being a distraction and becomes a doorway. And 20, so don't wait for validation. Don't wait for the perfect idea, the best camera, or the right moment. Start with what you have. Post your truth. Share your passion. Learn through the process. Every piece of content, every small step, every connection, it all adds up. One day you'll look back and realize that what once felt like just another post was actually the first chapter of your transformation. Social media can change your life, but only if you're brave enough to use it with purpose. Stop scrolling through other people's stories and start writing your own.